We are here with the lovely Lisa Ray, who calls herself a cancer thriver. And actually, she's here at the SKN Foundation Gala in New Jersey. We're catching up with you. First of all, Lisa, congratulations on everything you've done, whether it comes to film, philanthropy, modeling, writing, and now being an advocate for this very important cause. Talk about the advocacy, and let's start there.
Oh, well, first of all, Jitin, great to see you as well. We also go way back.
We do.
And in fact, yeah, the last time I guess we saw each other was also for a cancer-related activity as well in New York. And, you know, I always like to lend my support to anything that's cancer-related because I guess I call myself a thriver, and the reason I call myself a thriver, cancer thriver, is because I was diagnosed with a condition called multiple myeloma, which is a relatively rare, I was about to say skin cancer, which is, well, that's the problem. People mix up melanoma and multiple myeloma.
Yeah.
But it's a relatively rare blood cancer that is technically considered incurable. So I'm living with it. You know, I like saying that the beast is in the cage. And obviously, actually, if anything, my life has been even more rich and full and dynamic and purposeful post-cancer. So that's why I call myself a cancer thriver, though I don't necessarily recommend it to anyone else. And so here today in Jersey on this gorgeous, actually, fall evening, and I have been missing my fall evening since I moved to Asia. That's one thing that we don't get the four seasons. I'm here to, speak at the SKN Foundation Gala. And it was really, really moving and touching to speak to Naveen, Dr. Naveen, who is really sort of the force behind this initiative. And it's really about support, it's almost what I say, healing beyond the body. I mean, there's a lot of work, a lot of fundraising that's being done within the community to raise funds for the actual treatment, the medical treatment that happens. As I said, taking care of the physical aspect of healing. But there is another component to healing from cancer, and that's something that we need to talk about and we need to focus on, particularly within the Indian community. And that's what I call the emotional, the psychological, the spiritual quotient. Because I think you'll agree with me, we're not just meat puppets. Okay, I'm going to put it really crudely, we're not just physical beings, there are many other dimensions. And getting better and healing from such a serious disease as cancer, and it is possible, requires you to dig deep and to gain support from people, from the community, from your family, your friends, from other cancer survivors, to have a safe place, a safe venue to talk about what you're going through. And here's the sad thing, the critical thing I feel that I've come to understand is that nobody else, not even the people who know you best, who love you the most in this world, can understand what you're going through, except for someone else who's going through the same thing. So one cancer survivor will have a very different conversation with another cancer survivor that they may not be able to have even with their husband, their wife, their mother, their father. So there's so many aspects to the support process. But the first step is just talking about it. It's just being open, it's being honest. And there are, as we know, a lot of taboos. There's a big fear factor, and that is completely relatable, and that's universal. I don't think that that's cultural. I think obviously the big C word, the cancer word, carries with it, evokes with it a lot of very frightening ideas and connotations, and sometimes, misrepresentations. But you're not going to discover that until we start talking about it openly, And within the community, there's a shame factor, there's a taboo factor, and these things just end up alienating and isolating people who are going through it, which is heartbreaking to me, because I know for a fact that one of the reasons why I'm here today is because of the tremendous amount of support, the outpouring of love that I got when I went public with my diagnosis, which actually was a TIFF. 7 years ago.
I remember that.
7 years ago. On the red carpet is where I chose to announce my diagnosis.
I want to ask you, when you were first diagnosed, what was going through your mind? Take us back to how you dealt with it. Was it like, this is it for me, my career is over, my life's... You were at such a high in your career when you were diagnosed. Talk a little bit about where you were there then and where you are now.
I mean, to be honest, I think that when you're in a crisis, when it's a matter of life and death, which it was for me, the last thing on my mind, way down on my list of priorities, was really the work or the professional aspect. I mean, I know I've been very, very blessed in this business. This is also, Jitin, get this, is my 25th year since I first faced it.
And you look like you're barely 25.
Thanks for saying that. We know that I'm definitely not. And I've been quite open about my age, and I'm proud of it. 25 years since I first faced the camera. So I've had great experiences, a great run. But fortunately, what's happened through cancer is it's kind of loosened. What's happened is my identity has expanded, I think, beyond what I do in the world. And I think that this is, it's kind of a phobia or a neurosis that we have in society today, where our self-esteem and who we think we are is completely linked with what we do. I mean, when you meet someone, what's the first thing they ask you? So what do you do? So how do you earn your living? And that's always actually been a tough question for me, because I've really enjoyed being an actress, but I think that there's many other aspects to me, and there always has been. It's just nobody's ever asked.
Right.
In public, the people who know me well have understood that I have many other aspirations. And life in and of itself is a whole package. You know, I mean, to be honestly, acting has not always been the be-all or end-all. Acting was actually a platform for me from which to explore the world. So my motivation, the way that I defined success, was always having the freedom and having the means to be able to go wherever I want and do whatever I want, in whatever country, in whatever corner of the world. So acting was a means to do that. And, you know, now I've definitely got a greater sense of purpose in my life. So acting is one of many things that I do. And at the same time also, what's ended up happening is I've managed to subvert the attention that we get as actors into a platform from which I can talk about things that are meaningful to me personally. Because what ends up happening, I think, as a actor, as a personality, whatever, and I'm sure you also have the same experience, is that often we're talking about someone else's project. We're promoting a product, you know, a film, a television show, a cause, but it's not necessarily one that is deeply connected with who we are. So today, whatever I do is all aligned to who I am and my value system, much more than pre-cancer. And I'm pretty uncompromising about that in terms of the choices that I make about. And they're my own personal choices, you know. I mean, they're deeply personal, but I'm very confident about each and every one of them. And it isn't about even gaining validation from the outside world. You know, again, when you've been doing this for 25 years, it's like, okay, yeah. It's a crazy, fickle business, and it has its huge highs and it has its huge lows. And I think that, you know, digging deep and finding your own sense of stability, which for me, in a word, is gratitude to be here today. Because I was very close to not being here. So every single day is like, every single moment, every single evening is like a great gift for me. So I make the most of it.
And you know, I really see that because I follow you actively on social media, and every time I see a new post or I read something in the newspaper about you, it's that you're doing something new and different. You know, you're launching a perfume line, or you're writing a book of poetry, or this fabulous designer designed your flat in Hong Kong. I mean, are you basically just trying to take in everything and do everything in this lifetime?
Squeezing
it all out, right?
Out of life now. I think it's also, I think one aspect of it is that I also don't have, I've gotten out of my own way. I don't have as many fears. I'm not as self-conscious as I was, definitely not as self-conscious as I was in my 20s. Much more, I mean, it's also a function of age. You know, I'm almost 45 now. And I love this phase. Turning 40 was like a true turning point for me. And not just because I was a cancer survivor as well. It's just like, I own myself and I own my decisions. And so I think, you know, it's a greater lack of fear. It's being able to throw myself and do things without being as self-conscious. Like, what's everyone gonna think? I want to design this beautiful flat. I'm going to do it, We're going to create this perfume. We're going to, I'm going to try. I mean, for a while I was also a spokesperson for a great travel company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those are that's kind of just the tip of the iceberg, because that's just the public stuff. That's the public face. Privately, I'm also able to fearlessly throw myself into things that I've always wanted to do, like piano lessons. At 44, man, let me tell you.
How's that working
out?
out?
That can be a little humiliating at times. A little humiliating at times. You're not going to see a concert from me anytime soon, let me tell you that. But I love it. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. And, now I'm dividing my time between Mumbai and Hong Kong. And I'll always have a foot in, Canada, North America, the States. But Asia is also where I feel the most comfortable. So it was like, again, it was sort of this situation of, I'll give you sort of an analogy. There's a particular kind of meditation that the Tibetan Buddhists do. And it's like a rehearsal for your death, which sounds morbid. But what ends up happening is you're sort of a guided visualization. Close your eyes and imagine that you're sitting in front of a doctor. Comes up, says, sorry, Jitin, you've got 6 months. Then what you do is you're guided through what would you do with those last 6 months of your life. Okay. And there's nothing like the sense of urgency or death to make you live more vibrantly or more vitally. So basically, when you end the meditation and you've gone through that 6 months, the question is, why are you not doing that now? Because maybe we only have 6 months. And it becomes a celebration of life, which is not necessarily just, as I said, it's not meant to be depressing or morbid or anything like that. It's meant to actually make you celebrate and invest in the moment much more. And sometimes to, snap us out of these sort of, these mind states that we get into where we feel sad for ourselves or we complain, or everyone goes through it. Everyone's there. We like to whine. We're human beings. That's okay. But it's more, it's a glass full,
yeah,
right?
It's a great philosophy to have.
We're here. We're breathing.
Exactly. Well, since the last time we sat down with you, you had a major life change. You got married.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, how's Jason? How's married life?
Oh, man. I'm so lucky. He's beautiful. I'm going to get teary. He's amazing. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. I'm so lucky. But like I said, what I talk about with him, and he's really a partner more than anything else. And he's given me a lot of freedom. It's been beautiful. I mean, some people think of marriage as the, what do they call it, the ball and chain. But my marriage has actually given me wings. He's been unconditionally supportive. I've gone off and shot for films and projects, and because I commute between Hong Kong and India, I've disappeared into that rabbit hole for a couple of months at a time, and he's pretty cool with it. So much so that now I actually want to spend a lot more time in Hong Kong. But yeah, so he's given me wings, and I would actually wish that for everyone, But it was a matter of timing. Sometimes we discuss the fact that probably if we had met even a year before we had actually met, probably we wouldn't be in the same place. So
it's all about timing.
Dude, I think so.
You're working on so many different things. I know you have a book of poetry coming up. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to write poetry, and did you feel like you had this author deep down inside of you waiting to write poems?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I would be a writer. So again, this is not even a leap of faith. It's actually like fulfilling a promise I made to myself when I was a kid, because that's what I thought I would do. Because I was an introvert, I read fanatically. I was trying to figure out a profession in which I would have the least amount of human contact. So I became an actress.
So you became an actress, and an advocate, and a philanthropist, and you're about to go do a keynote speech.
Exactly. And I mean, life throws us into these situations, and you got to roll with it. And I'm grateful, because otherwise I'd probably be stuck in some musty, academic forum, and nothing wrong with that. But it would have been a very different life path. So writing is always something I've been passionate about. I also will be having a book, a memoir coming out. It's a little bit of an albatross because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I've been working on it for the last 3 years. And the poetry, you can look at my poetry right now on Instagram at Protest Poet. And it's something that I'll be spending a lot more time doing now. But in order to invest in my writing, which is truly my great life's passion and work, I think I'm going to have to pull out of a little bit more of travel and work.
And
it's that time.
I can't wait to try your new fragrance. I believe you have a new perfume coming out.
Yes, yes.
And you said that men can wear it too, and I'm super excited about that.
Unisex. You've got a bottle. A bottle is coming your way.
Thank you.
It's called Jasmine of India. We are super excited about it. It's actually launching on September 21st in Canada in the Hudson Bay, and also significantly on International Day of Peace, UN's International Day of Peace, because I've collaborated with an incredible company called the Seven Virtues, a real sort of social entrepreneur company started by an amazing woman called Bar Stegman. Her first fragrance was the Noble Rose of Afghanistan. She was inspired to approach the farmers in Afghanistan and convince them to change their crops from poppies, they were essentially coerced into growing poppies to support the Taliban, to rose. And she said, I promise you I will buy your entire crop at a fair share price, and then I'll figure out what to do with the roses. So she has actually used perfume to change people's lives. So it's like, the tagline is make perfume, not war. And she's gone around the world, and finally we are launching, and this is a collaboration, I'm not an ambassador, this is a true partnership. We're launching a fragrance which supports jasmine flowers, jasmine farmers from India. And jasmine, mogras, gajras is literally my favorite scent. It's very evocative. Scents bring you back, to some of my earliest memories. Very excited to be launching a very mainstream perfume or scent fragrance which is completely immersed and inspired by India. It will be available in the States as well in Lord & Taylor.
We can't wait. I know there are so many people waiting to see you and so many people waiting to talk to you. It won't take up much more of your time, but we do want to end by asking you, what is still on your bucket list of life that you haven't done that you definitely want to do?
Definitely, I'd like to direct a film. I'm collaborating with a few people. This is very much a long-term project as well. I've been working with a fantastic director called Praval Raman. He's part of the New Breed, and we do have a film coming out next year that I'm very excited about, and we're going to be shooting a short film. So I actually want him to write it, and I'd like to direct. I still have a long bucket list, but to be honest, I also am very invested in living my life. And again, now my family, very important to me. Jason, my puppy, expanding the family. We might have more to talk about in about a year or two.
I hope so. We wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks, Jitin.
Congratulations on everything. You're such a role model. You're so inspiring, Lisa. And we always...
I blush. I turn the color of this lenga. I honestly don't see it that way. I see that I'm getting to live life on my own terms, in a sense. If that makes me a role model, fantastic. But so many people, I want to leave you with this thought, so many people throughout my life, during cancer, yes, so many people helped me unconditionally. And also in my life, I've had a lot of incredible mentors who've just landed in my life, whether it's Deepa Mehta and many other people. And whenever I ask them, how can I give back? They always said, just pay it forward. So wouldn't the life be a cool place if everyone did that?